Section 1. Historical context, late 19th and early 20th centuries. The roots of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict trace back to the late 19th century with the rise of Jewish nationalism, or Zionism, aiming to establish a homeland in Palestine. This was driven by persecution in Eastern Europe. Simultaneously, Arab nationalism grew, opposing foreign rule. Tensions escalated with increased Jewish immigration, spurred by anti-Semitic policies in Europe. The Balfour Declaration of 1917 by Britain promised support for a Jewish homeland, inflaming the situation. By the end of World War II, the Holocaust increased sympathy for the Jewish cause, setting the stage for future conflicts. Section 2. The UN Partition Plan and the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. In 1947, the UN proposed a partition plan to resolve the conflict, dividing the land into Jewish and Arab states with Jerusalem as an international city. Jewish leaders accepted the plan, but Arabs rejected it, leading to the 1948 Arab-Israeli War after Israel's declaration of independence. Neighboring Arab states intervened, resulting in significant territorial losses for Arabs and creating hundreds of thousands of Palestinian refugees. The war ended with armistice agreements in 1949, leaving Israel with more territory than proposed by the UN. This outcome laid the groundwork for ongoing conflict, as no permanent peace agreement was reached. The war also led to major demographic shifts, with many Palestinians becoming refugees and Israel receiving waves of Jewish immigrants. Section 3. The Six-Day War and its aftermath. The Six-Day War of 1967 began with Israel's preemptive strikes against Egypt, fearing an imminent attack. Israel captured the Gaza Strip, Sinai Peninsula, West Bank, East Jerusalem and Golan Heights. This victory altered the Middle East map and intensified the Palestinian struggle for nationhood. The UN Security Council passed Resolution 242, calling for Israeli withdrawal from occupied territories. Israeli settlements in these areas became a contentious issue in peace negotiations. The war marked a shift in the Palestinian national movement, with the PLO gaining prominence. The PLO's increased militancy and diplomacy efforts aimed to put the Palestinian issue on the global stage. Section 4. The First Intifada and the Oslo Accords. The First Intifada began in 1987, marked by widespread protests and clashes with Israeli forces. It brought international attention to the Palestinian plight. The Oslo Accords of 1993 aimed to establish Palestinian self-governance and mutual recognition. Yitzhak Rabin and Yasser Arafat's handshake symbolized a hopeful new chapter. However, key issues like Jerusalem's status and Palestinian refugees' right of return remained unresolved. Ongoing violence and political instability continued to hamper the peace process. Section 5. The Gaza Strip and the rise of Hamas. After Israel's 2005 disengagement from Gaza, Hamas took control in 2007. This led to a blockade by Israel and Egypt, causing economic hardships and humanitarian crises. Hamas's rule saw conflicts with Israel, characterized by rocket attacks and retaliatory airstrikes. Efforts to reconcile Palestinian factions have been largely unsuccessful. The rift between Hamas in Gaza and the Fatah-led Palestinian Authority in the West Bank complicates peace efforts. The humanitarian situation in Gaza remains dire, with political isolation, economic blockade, and military confrontations. International relief efforts are often hindered by security and political issues. The plight of Gaza's inhabitants continues to be a tragedy. Section 6. Current challenges, settlements and self-determination. Israeli settlement expansion in the West Bank is a major obstacle to peace. Settlements are seen as illegal under international law and hinder the creation of a contiguous Palestinian state. The Palestinian Authority struggles with legitimacy and internal divisions. Despite challenges, Palestinians remain committed to self-determination. Protests and international advocacy reflect their continued push for statehood and sovereignty. Section 7. International peace efforts and obstacles. International peace efforts have been ongoing for decades, involving global powers and regional players. The US, EU, Russia and UN have all played roles, but deep-seated mistrust and internal political pressures hinder progress. Regional actors like Iran and Turkey add complexity to the peace process. Successful peace efforts must address immediate issues and foster long-term cooperation. Building trust and addressing grievances are essential for a lasting resolution. Section 8. Humanitarian impact and future prospects. The conflict's humanitarian impact is profound, affecting millions through displacement, poverty and violence. Palestinian refugees face dire conditions in camps, while daily life in the West Bank and Gaza is marked by restrictions and hardships. Israeli communities near conflict zones also face constant threats. The younger generations on both sides grow up with little hope for peace. Initiatives promoting economic development and cultural exchange could help build a foundation for peace. The international community must recommit to a realistic and inclusive peace process to heal the deep wounds of the conflict.